Are you interested in a STEM major? Let's hear from Amy Gurske, the co-founder of SayHii. SayHii is a digital tool that is used to gauge each employee's needs, values, and allow their voice in the workplace to be heard by anonymously presenting their emotions to their company in order to make change where needed. So basically, if I was upset with my boss, but I didn't know how to tell them, I would log into my computer, SayHii would give me a prompt, and then I'd be able to answer questions based on how I'm feeling, and that data would be shared with the company to make change. If you have an analytical mind or you love math and science in school, Amy has the perfect advice for you. She's a human behavior guru who is obsessed with data, processes, and technology. Going from corporate America to creating SayHii, let's figure out how Amy's extensive college degrees and education impacted her career, as well as the wisdom that she would pass along to high school students, especially those of you interested in pursuing a career in engineering. I'm Leah Leverich, a class of 2022 high school graduate exploring every path to success after senior year. Let's expand your mind to what's out there and narrow down your options so you can make a graduation decision with confidence. You're listening to Decision Day.
The Decision Day podcast is brought to you by the Rise and Record event in Nashville, Tennessee. Rise up and share your story through video. Visit riseandrecord.com for more.
So today we are here with Amy Gurske. So Amy, can you set the picture for us? What kind of student were you like in high school?
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, I didn't want to let anyone down. I wanted to keep enough grades where I didn't get in trouble. But I also knew that I wanted to use school to my advantage. And I planned on going to college. So just so you know, decision day, like there was no option. So in high school, I used it to get advanced courses to finish school quicker because I actually really didn't want to be in school. I wanted to be working. So I took a ton of APs and did a ton of stuff in high school to get myself ahead. So, but the truth was in high school, I just wanted to hang out with my friends, be social. Schoolwork was like the byproduct, but I actually enjoyed it. So I didn't hate schoolwork.
Did it come easy to you, or was it just like you got it done?
I'm not going to lie. This sounds terrible, and I don't want this to come across in an arrogant way, but schoolwork was always really easy to me. It was, they gave you the plan. Read this, answer this, do that. Like, just tell me what to do, and I'll do it. So for me, school was pretty easy, but it's also because I had a bunch of well-rounded activities. I was in sports. I played music. I was a part of groups. I was really engaged in high school, and it wasn't really because I was an engaged high school student. I just liked my friends. I liked being social. I liked being involved. So it didn't seem that hard at the time.
Okay. So then when you were actually in high school, do you think that your school set you up and prepared you well to enter the real world or even the next level of education?
Absolutely not. No, I wish I could say they did. My mom did.
Ooh.
It wasn't school. My mom always pushed me to be independent. She's like, your teachers aren't going to do something for you, or your school's not going to do something for you. If you want to do something, you have to do it. So I don't remember any counselors coming in and talking to me about where I wanted to go to school.
None.
I didn't have, no, it was literally like, Amy, pick your courses for next year. And that was the extent of my involvement. But, surprisingly enough, that doesn't bug me because I didn't need the attention. I had a loving mom who was totally on my butt to do well. My friends were high performers. We kept each other motivated by having fun in school. But no, school didn't push me. Yeah, if it wasn't for my mom, I wouldn't have gotten the grades that I did. Like I said, there was no option of whether or not I was going to college because she was the first person in her family to go. So the fact that we had grades to get scholarships, I got scholarships. That's how I went to college. I was the third of three girls with a single mom. It wasn't an option. And she's like, you go to college, you get a job. Like that is what you do. I applied to one that was close to home, 4 hours away, which was Clarkson. It's where I ended up going because I liked a small school. And they had the highest starting salary out of any of the schools I looked at. And again, I was going to college to get a job. I wasn't going to college to go to college. It was like path to least resistance.
Because for the jobs that you wanted to enter, you needed college, do you think?
Well, yeah, for me in my immediate path of how my career went, I needed a degree. I wouldn't have gotten the job that I had gotten if I didn't have a degree. I got hired by a company that I walked in the wrong info session in freshman year of college and ended up working for them through college, which was a total fluke because they didn't actually have an internship. I created it. Like I said, like no jobs existed. And they said, why don't you interview for this rotational program? But to get in the rotational program, you needed to have a 4-year degree.
Wow. Okay. So what does decision day mean to you now, or even just looking back to when you were graduating high school? What does that term kind of represent for you?
A gut check. Um,
Mhm.
you get so many outside influences. Everybody has an opinion. Did I have a choice of whether I was going to college or not? No. I'm going to be completely honest. There was no decision. Would I do it this same way now? For me, probably because I really like school. But the decision day is right sizing within yourself. So when I made the decision to go back for additional education, no, everybody told me no. Everybody told me no. But the reason I went back was because I needed skills that I didn't have and I didn't know any other way to get them because the only thing that I knew was school. So I went back to school to get these skills because in that time there wasn't a ton of certificates. It was either you went to college or you didn't go to college.
Yeah,
And back like this was 22 years ago, it was frowned upon if you didn't go to college.
really.
Well, I like now because and some the listeners don't know, but I do believe in skills over degrees. Could I have done the job I did at because I got hired by Granger right out of college and I worked for them through college. When I got hired, you asked me if I needed the degree. For that job to get hired, I needed the degree. Did I
Mhm.
actually need it to do what I was doing for Granger? No. That was common sense and 3
Oh,
years of experience interning with them. So did I need that degree? No. Did it help? Yeah, but
okay.
I needed it to get the job, but I didn't necessarily need the skills I acquired in college. I've never to this day used thermodynamics. I've never used rigid body dynamics. I've never used ESI. Like majority of what I learned in college, I don't use. Majority of what I learned in high school, I surprisingly enough do. And my focus was really on supply chain efficiencies, process efficiencies. I liked the softer side of engineering. And then I, yes, got more and more and more degrees, again, just to learn. I went for a master's in industrial and organizational psychology. Then I got a doctorate in organizational and industrial psychology. And I actually went back for another master's in industrial and organizational psychology because I didn't understand the cycle of socialization. So I actually enrolled in a minority college and an online program and had a very unique experience that I'm glad that I went through. So that was my second master's, but it was essentially the same degree, but the focus was on the cycle of socialization and how we all progress through life and continue to grow and change. So I needed a little more,
Wow.
so I went back.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like you really prioritize just education.
I want to know the answer.
Yeah.
It's not even like people that are looking at TikTok, people that are watching documentaries, people that listen to podcasts. That is it's all just learning.
Mhm.
For me, it just makes it more structured. I don't want to have to find the
Ah.
podcast to listen to. I want someone to hand deliver it to me and say, read this, do this.
So with all of the schooling that you have paid for and went through, how much of that was worth it? How much of that was, "Oh, I could have done this a different way?"
I honestly have no regrets at all for my career, anything that I've done. So there's nothing that I would honestly change at this point because it's all gotten me to where I am right
Yeah.
now. Do I think they're worth it? No. As I was saying to you before the call, I don't even tell people that I have a second master's or a doctorate. I don't tell anyone. What's odd is people's reactions to it, which, if I'm being honest, I study human behavior. It's typically either jealousy or fear. But when people hear that you have a PhD and you're talking to somebody who doesn't have a PhD, sometimes it can be very off-putting. So I never actually use one of my masters and one of my and my PhD.
That's crazy for someone who's listening that wants to go further and get that highest level, but then to hear that you might not even be able to use it in some scenarios?
Yeah, honestly, it's not that I can't use it, it's a decision to not use it,
Mm,
because the people that I'm working with on a regular basis traditionally maybe have 2, maybe 4-year degrees. But again, human behavior is we're constantly comparing ourselves to someone else, to another situation. So anything that can reduce the friction between me and my potential clients, I will do. And I did have 3 straight calls where they had asked about my education. I let them know. And someone on the call literally said, we think people with PhDs just need to stay in academia. And that's traditionally what you hear. If you're a PhD, you're considered an academic, you stay in academia, you do research, you don't bring it into commercialization. And there is a weird group of us that have PhDs that don't want to be in academia. We want to work. I do want to teach at a collegiate level someday as an adjunct, not full time. So a PhD typically represents academia, represents, kind of stick up your butt, like I know better than most. And so I just choose not to use it because I didn't get it for those reasons. I got it because I needed more information and I was in the middle of cultural research and needed help.
Wow.
I needed
Oh
the
my
structure.
gosh. You are so I feel like I'm smarter just talking to you. Not because of everything you just said about the PhD, but all of that is, I mean, great influence. Okay, so if we could move your situation, you're in high school, let's say you're graduating in 2024. I know you
Yep.
said that you would have done everything the same, but let's say you had to start fresh. What would you have done differently if you were to do it a second time around, especially now in 2024 with things evolving a little bit?
I don't know that I would have gone to college.
Oh,
So 22 years ago, I would have made the same decision.
okay.
Today, I honestly don't know that I would immediately go for a 4-year degree. If you like in this moment right now, totally unplanned, what I would have done is probably gone for 2 or 3 certificates because the truth is my undergrad degree, like I said, I don't use it. So would I have changed what I did 22 years ago? No, because I needed a 4-year degree to get a job that paid me the money I wanted to make.
Yeah.
Today, I honestly would probably get a job, maybe 2, go and get a couple certificates at either Cornell, Columbia, whatever. There's so many certificates now that are like $500, $600. I had a lot of debt coming out of college because again, I was raised by a single mom and I was the third girl. So if it wasn't on scholarship, it was debt. So if I graduated right now, I would keep my job that I probably had in high school, maybe get another one, network, find some connections, get a couple certificates and figure out what actually interests me because there's so many different things right now and the speed is changing. Prompt engineers have existed not forever, but for a long time. They're now one of the highest paid jobs and it's like a 3-week course.
Really?
Why would you not just go get a certificate? Now, that makes sense for someone who can sit in front of their computer all day. I don't want to sit in front of my computer all day.
Yeah.
So that's why I think getting certificates, getting experience, trying different jobs is more important than going and getting a 4-year degree when 90% of the courses you're not going to use. And it works for me. Like, I just like that there's so many options now, and I don't want anyone to feel like one path is the only path they can take.
Yeah.
And the truth is, it would have been cheaper and I probably would have gone further faster had I not
Ooh.
gone to a 4-year degree today.
Okay. How do you have any advice in terms of the debt, the financial aspect of going to school and getting all of the information, all the knowledge?
Yeah, I've got lots. No, I'm kidding.
We're ready.
I would get creative. If you don't have a family that's going to be supporting you through college, get creative. Can you take out debt? Absolutely. And you can pay it off over time, but I wouldn't go astronomically large and take on all of this debt. Like one of my best friends, her husband came into the marriage with like $200,000 worth of debt and she had none.
Wow.
So, and he had chosen to get a master's that he doesn't use anymore.
Hmm.
So take your time.
So don't necessarily feel pressured to go the traditional route and take on all of that debt because of how many options there are?
100%. The exercise I give my mentors all or my mentees all the time is I say, when you wake up, what does your day feel like? Are you going in
Ooh.
an office? Are you making coffee? Are you going to Starbucks? Are you getting on a plane and traveling? Are you working 4 hours a day? Are you working in the evenings? So start thinking about what you actually want your day to feel like, and that's going to give you a better indication of what exactly you want to do. Now, you also have to make sacrifice. So do I want to sit in front of a computer all the time? No, and I do it a lot of the time because I have to right now.
Mhm.
But our goal is to get to a place where we are working, but also living at the same time, and neither is really affecting the other. So think about what you actually want your day to feel like, and then look for careers and or opportunities that allow you to live that way. Like this
That was it
podcast is
right there.
perfect for you.
Oh, thanks.
100%.
What advice would you give to high schoolers looking to find their ideal job, especially if it's similar to something that you're doing?
Network. That is bigger than college. Find local networking opportunities. If you're a senior in college and you want to figure out what you want to do, just start talking to people. Get a LinkedIn, connect with people. Are there business leaders locally that you look up to? Are there companies you look up to? Go ask. The job market right now, you can apply to the job. They're probably not going to see your resume. If you want a job, you need someone to hand your resume to someone. So if anybody is listening to this podcast, my name is Amy Gurske. Find me on LinkedIn. If I can connect you to anyone, let me know. And I'd be more than willing to talk to anybody, but networking is it. You have to have conversation to expose what you actually like to do and what you don't. Focus on your strengths, not your weaknesses. I'm never going to get an MBA. I'm never going to be a CPA. I never want to touch QuickBooks again once I can hire someone to do my finances. Like, not my strength, don't want to do it. Never
It's
going to
so
want to do it.
funny that you say that because now that I'm on LinkedIn, I'm encouraging people our age to be on LinkedIn. It's so funny to see like all the seniors when I was a freshman in high school, everyone all of a sudden looking so professional on LinkedIn. I'm seeing these people that are like 4 years older. I'm like, what are you doing here? We're all looking for jobs. It's so funny, but I mean, you have to.
Looking for jobs, but also just networking. The more
Yeah.
people you know, like, no offense, Leah, we could pick you up and plop you in a job any day of the week, but you're exploring your own journeys right now, which is
Yeah.
so cool. But because of your network and the fact that you put yourself out there, you introduce yourself to people, you go grab coffee with people, you go the extra mile. So for any listener here that thinks Leah's just getting on a podcast and talking to people, that is a lie. This girl
Oh,
is scheduling coffees, meetings, following up, network. Like, she is super connected. She's doing the deal. And
thank
if you
you.
guys want to be successful, you have to put in the hard work. You can't sit at home and play video games and expect a job to fall in your lap.
True.
You need to go out, network, hand your resume out, and talk about the things that bring you joy and what you enjoy doing. And maybe there's a fit. And then we leave and we're like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I went
Yes, every single time. That's the
every
feeling
time.
every single time. You dread it. You're like, I'm so nervous. What are they gonna think of me? It's almost like a date. It's a coffee date for like
Oh,
networking, but it's also like I'm
what am I going
very
to
nervous.
wear? Is
Yeah.
this professional? Are they going to be in jeans? Do I wear a sport coat? Like, oh
Me
my.
and you, me and you, when we had our coffee date a few months ago,
You were dressed to the nines, and I show up like goblin mode. I'm like, but that's
it
me
helps me.
sometimes.
I gotta mentally prepare. I gotta feel the part.
Yeah, listen, you suit up, show up, and that is true.
With what you're currently doing as the co-founder and CEO of SayHii, can you explain what it is, how you started it, why you started it, and how you found your entrepreneurial spirit?
So, SayHii is a fairly simple concept with a very complicated back end. But the point of SayHii is to ensure that every single voice is heard. Because at multiple times in my career, my voice wasn't heard. I worked for a male-dominated company. I mentioned that I have my master's and doctorate that the organization helped paid for, but it was never endorsed by the organization. Every guy on my team was allowed to go for masters or doctorates at Harvard, Wharton, getting reference letters. I had to do everything the roundabout way. They wouldn't
Mm,
actually endorse me to go get continuing education, which made no sense to me. I was an overachiever on the team. All these guys are going for school. My voice wasn't heard. And I ended up leaving that company after 17 years because an opportunity came up reporting to the C-suite. I had earned it. It was a perfect position. And my boss said, I can't let you take it. You're a top performer. Give me 4 or 5 more years. And I've been doing the job 10 years. And I ended up leaving the company. And the CEO called me and said, why did you leave and how do we get you back? And I told him what happened. And he said, you're right. You had no choice. You couldn't go above him. He's so well respected. You would have burned every bridge. He
mhm.
said, I just wish we had gotten connected beforehand so I could have advocated for you. So I tell these stories because all of these little pieces actually ended up building SayHii. So the concept behind SayHii is we say hi once a day. When you first log in your computer, when you first check in or clock into work, you get one question. The goal of the question is to actually identify the needs of every single person in the organization and then reconnect them internally with humans who can hear them to meet and address their own needs within the workplace because people are leaving for no good reason. It's a completely solvable problem. People don't feel heard, they don't feel
Mhm.
respected, they feel like they have toxic bosses, that people aren't listening to them. So we got to change it. And SayHii is my way of trying to solve the gaps that I fell through. So now we actually get ahead of problems before they become crisis. So that's SayHii.
Whew.
I
Are you
know.
kidding me? That
It's a
is,
lot.
I mean, no. That is so cool. How have you transitioned from doing so many years working for a company to now you're your own boss and you're running the show and you've got all this going on? Do you have, with the experience, like maybe someone listening also wants to make that transition or start their own business?
Yeah, I would say find a mentor. You can do this alone. I don't recommend it.
Mm,
The founder journey is very isolating. You have an idea that no one's heard about. So trying to get them excited while trying to get everything done on the back end and find
okay.
someone you trust. It doesn't have to be someone you're close to, just somebody that you trust who has walked the journey before. You will hear said, and I'm sure you've experienced it yourself because you're an entrepreneur. It's like being bipolar. You can wake up and be like, I am on top of the world. And by like 7 a.m., you're like, nope, no clue what I'm doing. And then like 9 a.m., you're like, that call went great. And then you have one at noon, you're like, no, I really like, I just should
Yeah,
not. And then like, and you're like, woo. So it's like this roller
I
coaster.
feel it.
And then right size myself with getting back to the beginning of the conversation, I got really quiet. And I was like, what brings you joy? What do you like doing? What have you experienced? What problems can you solve? And that threw me back into volunteer work, which I didn't have a ton of time to do when I was working. And I started seeing the problems that existed and solutions started becoming clear. So by centering within yourself, that's where all the answers are. Your mentor is going to keep you on the road. Hopefully,
Mhm.
you might like hit a bumper here and there and like little ripple strips, but um you'll stay on the road if you have a mentor.
Phenomenal. I mean, there are days where even for me, I'm like doing this work, I'm feeling great, interviewing someone like you, and then it could be like tonight, something happens, I'm like, that's it, I'm going to college. Like
Yeah, like the other thing, and I didn't touch on this, I do think it's really important. As much as I do say that certificates and you can find these skills and learn things other places, the one big piece of college that made a huge impact for me, you asked me if high school helped prepare me for real life or for college. Absolutely not. They did absolutely nothing to show me how to do my laundry, how to find a mess hall, how to finish work on
Mm,
time. Like they did nothing.
mhm.
But college showed me it was that step between independence of being completely on my own
Yeah.
versus leaving home, going and living somewhere, not having the support you normally have, but still being safe. You have a dorm, you have food, you have class, you have resources. It's not living on your own for the first time, trying to figure it all out at once. So I do believe that if you choose to go to college, living on campus is the way to go because for me, the biggest lesson I learned in college was how to be independent. Like it really is like this baby step approach.
Mhm.
Um, but I also wanted to leave my mom's house. And
Yeah.
not because she's so terrible, but because I always wanted to be on my own.
Yeah.
So if I was going to immediately go get an apartment out of college, I could have never afforded it.
Makes sense. This is all stuff to consider. What advice would you give to someone who wants to study engineering or enter a tech industry like that, especially young women?
So we're like secret weapons in the tech industry, us women. First off, we're extremely organized. B, we do what we say we're going to do typically. And three, we're extremely creative. So none of that can be seen in tech. None of that can be seen unless you know how to either code or start to learn some languages or just even understanding how tech works. So if you want to get into tech and you don't know words like database or computing or processing or AI or machine learning, start learning. Go on YouTube, Google, what is AI? Get
Mhm.
into it. That's the world we're living in. Tech's going to continue to change. If there's people that you like their posts or you're interested, reach out to them and ask for a virtual coffee. 90% of the time, they're going to say yes. You're going to be terrified. Just get on and have a conversation. Ask, and how you do that, you schedule a call and then you say, tell me about your journey. Like, how did
Mhm.
you get where you are? And they will go on for 15, 20 minutes and you're free and clear to just sit there and listen and ask good questions. But just start expanding your network and be fearless. Just start somewhere, start learning. So whoever's listening and stressed about what you're even going to do today, just think about the next thing you need to do. Maybe it's your laundry,
Ooh,
maybe it's
yeah.
calling your best friend, maybe it's setting up a LinkedIn profile. Maybe it's seeing where prompt engineering courses are being offered. Whatever it may be, like just do the next right thing to inform yourself with one more piece of information. And believe it or not, the journey is just going to unfold anyway. Did you ever think you were going to start a podcast?
No, especially with parents and radio, they were telling me, "Don't do this. Don't get into that
Right?
industry." Oh my gosh. Yeah, that is so
And here
true.
you are, and you're crushing it. So if you want to do your own thing and you have no idea what you're going to do, just listen. Listen to your universe, get quiet, look around. The opportunity is literally sitting there. And when the time is right, it'll present itself. And then it's on you to act on it. And don't let that fear eat you alive, because fear is really just your insecurities coming through. And you have nothing to be insecure about. If you don't know how to do it, you'll learn. And if you do know how to do it, you're going to do it. And that's it. It's literally that simple.
Oh my, I need a piece of your brain. I just need that like running around in front of my eyes or something at all times, just reminding me. I end every interview with the same last question, and I know you're going to have a great answer for this. What
Oh,
mistakes do you see young people making? You're constantly working and helping and volunteering with young students, Gen Z. What are we doing wrong and what can we improve on?
listen. The
Mhm.
ones that are going to struggle are the ones that try to defend every single thing when they ask you for help and you say, here's some ideas. And then they spend the entire time defending those ideas.
Mhm.
Just let the ideas sink in. No one's asking for you to have to defend yourself. If someone is asking you probing questions, they just want to understand better. So for Gen Z, I would say do more listening. Because you guys honestly expend way more energy trying to do things that no one is asking you to do. So I would say slow down, focus on what you're being asked, and then execute. So that's it.
Perfect.
Slow down to speed up.
Close the book. We're done. Oh my gosh, that was so phenomenal. Thank you so much. Where can everyone follow you, support you, plug, say hi, whatever you got to do so that we
Yeah.
can continue this
Well,
conversation?
obviously, we've been talking LinkedIn. Find me on LinkedIn, Amy Gurske. You can find SayHii also on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. It's SayHii every day is the handle. And we're always posting motivation, some tips and tricks, how to handle burnout, stress, the stuff we're all dealing with. Yeah, so I would love to connect. And if any listeners want to have a side conversation or want to be super risky and ask for a virtual coffee, I'd love to meet with all of you. So I'm going to keep Leah posted as to how many I actually hear from.
Ooh, now you have to. Perfect. Thank you so much for listening. You can message me with your thoughts at Decision Day Podcast or decisiondaypodcast@gmail.com. And I can't wait to share a new perspective with you in the next episode. Thank you, Amy.
You got it. Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks for listening to the Decision Day podcast. If you know a student in high school, ask them to listen or share an episode with them. And as always, we love hearing from you. Share your stories with us on social, Decision Day Podcast. Until next week. Decision Day Podcast is sponsored by the Rise and Record event, Nashville, Tennessee. RiseandRecord.com for more info.